Okay, so welcome back. We are going to do lesson 5.8 and it's we're just continuing that whole solving systems of equations. And so as you can see, it says the learning focus for today is to develop intuitive strategies for solving systems of linear equations in standard form. And the question you'll be able to answer is, how can I use logical reasoning to solve for two unknown values when I'm given two pieces of information about these values? So you should be following along on the Desmos lesson. Um, and we're just going to continue on with Clarita and Carlos and their pet business. And so here's some more information. So Clarita is upset with Carlos because he has been buying cat and dog food without recording the price of each type of food in their accounting records. Instead, Carlos just recorded the total price of each purchase, even though the total cost includes more than one type of food. Carlos is now trying to figure out the price of each type of food by reviewing some recent purchases. As Carlos is examining the first set of purchases, he realized that he can figure out the cost of the individual item just by reasoning out about the numbers and the assumption that the price of each item remained the same for each shopping trip. Clarita is surprised that Carlos can find the individual prices without using tables, graphs, or equations. See if you can reason about the shopping scenarios as well as Carlos by figuring out the cost of each item purchased without using tables, graphs, or equations. So one week, Carlos bought 3 bags of Tabitha tidbits and 4 bags of Figaro flakes for $43. The next week, he bought 3 bags of Tabitha tidbits and 6 bags of Figaro flakes for $54. Based on this information, figure out the price of 1 bag of each type of cat food. Explain your reasoning. Okay, so here's what they're basically saying. So one week, Carlos buys this much of this and this much of this, and the total is $43. The next week, he buys 3 bags of Tabitha tidbits and 6 bags of Figaro flakes for $54. Based on this information, figure out the price of 1 bag of each type of cat food, and then explain your reasoning. So what do you notice here? What is something that you see? So questions that should come to your mind is what's the same, what's different, kind of thing. So I'm going to give you a second to think about this. Really think about what did they actually give you. So I'm going to take some of this information and write it down here just so it's a little bit more plain in your brain there. So we get 3 bags of Tabitha tidbits. I'm going to go with like abbreviating, and 4 bags of Figaro flakes. And all that total is going to be $43. So this total here is $43. And then another day he goes and he gets 3 bags again of Tabitha tidbits, and then 6 bags this time of Figaro flakes for $54. And do you notice anything? What do you notice? So the big part about math that you're supposed to do is you're supposed to be able to notice something. And once you start noticing things, then you'll be able to see. And so maybe one of the things you notice is like, hey, both of these have 3 bags of Tabitha tidbits. So really the difference between this first purchase and the second purchase was in this Figaro flakes. And maybe you say, oh, I didn't notice that. Okay, so if you didn't notice that both of these purchases had 3, no big deal. So now whenever I ask you about what do you notice, look for things that are the same, look for things that are different. Because once you start doing that, that is going to increase your level of math understanding. Okay, so the next thing is, okay, so now what? So who cares if they're the same? Well, if they're the same, that kind of means something about this total, right? Right. So tell me more. What else do you see? Like, what could account for this difference? Like, because why aren't these totals exactly the same? So maybe you say, oh, Miss Johnson, the reason why they're not the same has to do with you didn't buy the same number of Figaro flakes. Oh, okay. So how many more Figaro flakes did they buy the second time? And you're like, oh, two more. So I'm like, okay, well, two Figaro flakes, right? And that's the reason why there's that difference, that why these two weren't the same price. Well, how much more did you have to pay for those two bags of Figaro flakes? How would you figure that out? And maybe you're like, oh, I see it. If I just subtract these two, that's the difference in price. And because that's how much that was the difference in the purchase, meaning I got the same number of Tabitha tidbits and then I got two more of these. So that's the difference. So here, that's going to tell me how much more I'm going to have. So how much more money did you have to spend that second week? And hopefully you see, oh, it's $11. And that $11 tells me a lot, right? So what's the step that logically comes next? Okay, so I have this information here. You tell me, oh, well, I bought two more bags and that two more bags cost $11 more. What's the next logical step? Right? Maybe you say the next logical step, Miss Johnson, is that if two Figaro flakes cost $11, that implies that one Figaro flake costs $5.50. And if you're like, okay, well, how'd you get that? Maybe, I don't know, maybe you just thought about like proportional reasoning. Some of you may have divided, but that's basically it. So I'm kind of done, but not really. It says, based on this information, figure out the price of one bag of each type of cat food. So I found the Figaro flakes, but I haven't found the Tabitha tidbit. So how would I figure that out? Like once I know this, what would I then do? What's the next step? And maybe you say, oh, Ms. Johnson, I can kind of use this information to go over here. And that's right. Okay. So if two of them cost $11, right? If these two cost $11, this also means that four of them would cost $22, right? And that makes sense because you're just doubling things, right? And then that means that this right here is going to be $22. So this right here is $22. Or you could have used this one, but then you would have to, get some like the $6, six of them, right? So then what would you do? If you know that four bags cost $22, how does that help you figure out the Tabitha tidbits? Right? So where would I go next? Where do you think what logically comes next? Yeah, so hopefully some of you are saying, okay, well, Miss Johnson, 3 Tabitha tidbits. If I take away that $22, right, from here, that leaves me with $21, right? Right. So 3 Tabitha tidbits would be $21. Miss Johnson, how did you get that? Well, if four Figaro flakes cost $22, of the $43, the remaining $21 is the Tabitha tidbits, right? So what does that imply? Well, that implies that one Tabitha tidbit, right, costs $7. So here's my answer, right? So one Tabitha tidbit costs that. One Figaro flakes costs $5.50. So I'm going to go over this again just so that you see the thinking on this, okay? So, and see if you can explain it for yourself. So the first thing I did is I read that problem and I wrote some information down. 3 Tabitha tidbits, 4 Figaro flakes cost $43 versus 3 Tabitha tidbits and 6 Figaro flakes cost $54. And then I asked you, okay, well, what do you notice here? And I'm sure some of you said, Ms. Johnson, well, I see that these two here are the same. The only difference between the first purchase and the second purchase is these 2 Figaro bits. And I'm like, oh, 2 of them, good. Well, how much more did you have to pay that week? And you said, oh, well, it's going to be $11. So you subtracted here, right? 43 plus what gives me 54, or 54 minus 43 gives me 11, right? And we're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So take some time, make sure that it makes sense. right? Okay, then the next part goes like this, right? The next part says, well, now that I know that one Figaro flake does this, I now need to know how much Tabitha tidbits are. And I noticed that this is 4 of them. So I say, oh, if 2 of them cost $11, that means 4 of them cost $22. And that's legit because when you're purchasing something, you're assuming that the price is going to be the same throughout, right? So then I know that 4 of them cost $22. So then I'm still trying to figure this out. So if 4 of them cost $22, that means I can subtract, of my total $43, $22 is made up of this. So I subtracted and I was left with $21. So that means 3 Tabitha tidbits is the same as $21. So that implies that if 3 of them cost $21, that means 1 of them costs $7. Okay. See if you can explain this all out in your own way. It doesn't have to be, this way is one of the ways. There's probably like 10 other different ways. But see if you can do this on your own. Okay. So I'm going to move on to the second problem. It says 1 week, Carlos bought 2 bags of Brutus Bites and 3 bags of Milo Munchies for $42.50. The next week, he bought 5 bags of Brutus Bites and 6 bags of Milo Munchies for $94.25. Based on this information, figure out the price of 1 bag of each type of food. Explain your reasoning. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to kind of write out very similar to what I did up here. And I kind of want you to figure out your own way of figuring this out. What do you notice? They kind of have all the information right here almost lined up. So what do you notice here? What do you notice? I notice a couple of things. So if you can notice something and then figure out how much the Brutus Bites or the Milo Munchies are, then you're pretty much done. And then the rest of this video, I'm just going to do more and more of the same thing. Okay. So go ahead and pause the video. Do your best to figure out how much Brutus Bites are and Milo Munchies are, and then come on back to me. Okay, so now that you're back, I'm going to write some of this information down, and I write 2 Brutus Bites and 3 bags of Milo Munchies is equal to $42.50. You can almost see an equation there, but I'm trying really hard not to write an equation, right? And then the next week, you bought 5 bags of Brutus Bites, and those aren't the same there, so that doesn't help me. And then this one is 6 bags of Milo Munchies. And again, those aren't the same there, but maybe you see a pattern. Maybe you see a little bit of a pattern. And so this together makes $94.25. And so hopefully you saw a pattern. And the pattern that I saw is we almost bought twice as much that second week, except for this week we had to buy an extra bag. So twice as much plus an extra bag is going to help me. Okay. So if I bought twice as much, right? If I bought twice as much, what would that be? Well, yeah, I'd get 4 bags of Brutus Bites. And then instead of 3 bags, I'd get 6 bags of Milo Munchies. And that would be how much? Well, how much is $42.50? Again, it would be twice as much to spend. So that would be what? $85, right? And then I'm going to compare that to this guy. I didn't do anything. So here I'm just going to remind you, I'm going to double this. And over here, I'm just keeping it the same. 5 bags of Brutus Bites, 6 bags of, oh, that's cool. Look, they're the same. And then so it was $94.25. No surprise here that the second week I still spent more because I bought more. Right? Oh, I bought more. More of what? What did I buy more of this week? And you're right. It's 1 bag of Brutus Bites. You bought 1 more bag of Brutus Bites. Good. So how much more did you have to spend because you bought that 1 extra bag? Right? And so here I'm going to grab my Desmos and subtract. So, oops. There you go. So I want to see, I got 1 bag extra there, and I'm going to go with $94.25. Oops. Right? And I'm going to subtract off $85. So that's how much one bag of Brutus Bites costs, is $9.25. Okay, so that now you have that. Now you're like, okay, well, how does that help me? Well, it says that I have to find out how much it was each type of food. And so I did one of them. So now I just have to do the other one. Does that make sense? So if one bag costs $9.25, I can find two bags, right? So two bags of Brutus Bites would be $10. Wait, sorry, $18.50. $18.50, right? So this up here is going to be $18.50. Does that make sense? $18.50. So that, of the $42 that I spent, $18.50 is taking up that $42.50, right? So I'm going to bring this back and say, what's $42.50 minus $18.50? So it's $24. So that implies that 3 Milo Munchies cost, I forgot what I put, $24. So if 3 Milo Munchies cost $24, that means 1 Milo Munchie costs how much? 1 Milo Munchie costs, hopefully you said $8, and there's my other answer, right? So again, all I did was I noticed this pattern here was double. And because this is double, I doubled this here and I got 4 Brutus Bites. Maybe I bought 4 Brutus Bites and 6 Milo Munchies, and it should have been $85. And then I noticed these two are now the same, but these two weren't because these two aren't, right? So because I bought one more bag of Brutus Bites, how much more did I have to pay that week? And the answer was $9.25. So that implies that one bag of Brutus Bites costs $9.25. And because I knew that, that means that I can find out 2 bags of Brutus Bites. So I doubled it. And that was $18.50. And so if this right here is $18.50, right? The rest of it's going to be 3 Milo Munchies, which was $24, which implies that it's 1 Milo Munchie is $8. If this doesn't make sense, go back and listen again to these 2 explanations, right? Go back and listen to these 2 explanations, because all you're doing is you're looking for a pattern and then you're adjusting accordingly. This pattern here, I noticed that the 3s were the same. I noticed that these were the same here, right? And then for this one, I noticed here that these 2, it was double that, right? And because it was double that, then I doubled. And then I said, oh, okay, well, how much more, am I spending? And then I noticed, oh, look, I only have one more here. So that difference is going to be that difference, right? All right, we're going to do this again. Except for now we're doing leashes and cat brushes. Okay, so Carlos purchased 6 dog leashes and 6 cat brushes for $45. Clarita, for Clarita to use while she's pampering the pets. Later in the summer, he purchased 3 additional dog leashes and 2 cat brushes for $19. Based on this information, figure out the price of each item. Figure out the price of each item. So I kind of want you to pause here. I want you to write out the information and look for a pattern. I want you to look for a pattern, right? The more you look for these patterns, the more it's going to make sense to you. So that's why I really want you to look at these patterns. Okay. So go ahead and pause, and I'll meet you right back here when you're done so that you know what we're working with. Okay, so now that you're back, you wrote some patterns out, right? And hopefully you saw. Okay, so it says Carlos purchased 6 dog leashes and 6 cat brushes. So we go 6 dog leashes, 6 cat brushes, and paid $45, right? Versus later on, he buys 3 dog leashes and 2 cat brushes and pays $19 for it. Now there's several patterns that you can see here. There's several, okay? Um okay, there's several patterns. You do not have to find all the patterns. Okay? But I noticed this time we bought half as much. So I'm going to go ahead and write this equation as I'm going to take half of it. I'm going to cut everything in half. So I get 3 dog leashes instead of 6, 3 cat brushes instead of 6, and now I should be paying half as much, so that's $22.50, right? You could have also doubled this if you wanted and wrote that again, like pretending to write up that receipt. Another thing that you could have noticed is, Miss Johnson, I noticed that there's 6 dog leashes and 6 cat brushes. So I could have kind of like thought about getting 1/6 of the whole thing if you wanted. Another way you could have thought about this is I bought 1/3 of the cat brushes here, so I could cut this in thirds. There's many different ways that you could have done it. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to get this exactly the same. So this is 3 dog leashes and you're like, hey, it's the same thing, right? On purpose, it was the same thing. Oops, this is supposed to be cat brushes. And then now you have $19 that you're spending. And so if you notice, these two are exactly the same. So in this one, I added one more brush. So I added one more cat brush, and now how much more am I spending? Well, it looks like I'm spending $3.50 more. So that implies that one cat brush is costing $3.50, right? So if I know that one cat brush costs 50 cents, $3.50, I could figure out how much the dog leashes are based on that information. So I think I like the second one. So if I have one cat brush for $3.50, that means I could double it. I can go 2 cat brushes, right? I can get 2 cat brushes for how much? If one cat brush costs $3.50, how much would 2 cat brushes cost? And you're right, it's $7. Good job. So then this right here is $7. So of the $19 I'm spending, I know $7 is for cat brushes. How much excuse me, how much left am I using to pay for dog leashes? I'll say that again. If I know that 2 cat brushes cost $7, 2 of them cost $7, of the 19, how much is left that I spent or they spent for dog leashes? And so hopefully you say something along the lines of, well, 3 dog leashes cost $12, right? Because you're subtracting that 7 from the 19. So if 3 dog leashes cost $12, that implies that 1 dog leash costs $4, right? So there's that information. So every single time you're doing this, it makes sense. And yes, you can check your answers in case you're wondering. So let's see. Let me see how I can do this. Oh, $3.50. Okay. So if the cat brush costs $3.50, so you can go in this first equation here. If I bought 6 cat brushes for $3.50 each, and then I would add it to oh, am I doing this wrong? Yep, I'm doing this wrong. Because it's dog leashes first. Dog leashes are $4. So 6 dog leashes, each one being $4, would be 6 times 4, plus 6 cat brushes, which each one is $3.50. It should give me $45, which it does. And then let me just check the second one just in case, right? And so this time I got 3 dog leashes for $4 each, plus 2 cat brushes. Cat brush is $3.50, and it should be $19, which it is. And so this is how you're checking your answer. Okay. So not like so if you think about it, technically I haven't taught you anything new, but you're just playing with the equations based on things that you've done in the past, right? So you know that if I have one cat brush and it costs $3.50, that implies that 2 cat brushes will cost $7, right? So I want to make sure that you all are comfortable with that. All right, moving on. So the next problem, again, you're going to try this one on your own. So go ahead and read it on your own, write the information on your own, and then your job again is to figure out the price of each item. So go ahead and do that, and then meet me back here. We have one more problem, and then I'm going to go around with the takeaways, and then we're pretty much done. Okay, so now that you're back, it says 1 week, I'm going to read it to you again. 1 week, Carlos purchased 2 boxes of cat treats. So I'm just going to start there and go 2 boxes of cat treats and 3 boxes of dog treats for $18.50. Again, look for the pattern. The next week, he bought 2 boxes of cat treats and 2 boxes of dog treats for $14. Right? And so you're already seeing the pattern. Hopefully you say, hey, Miss Johnson, like, oops, sorry, that's not right. You're seeing this and you're like, Miss Johnson, look, it's the same. And I'm like, yeah, so what? And you say, well, for the second week, I bought one less. I bought one less, right? One less dog treat. And because of that, I spent how much less did I spend? I spent $4.50 less. So that implies one dog treat costs me $4.50. Right? Okay. And then it also says, I don't know if you can see this down here, but it says the third week he bought 5 boxes of both cat and dog treats for $35. Okay. And so let me see. I should have squeezed that in there. Let's see. Can I do that? Let me move this really quick. Now, let me move this down a little. Oh, I'll just leave it right there. Okay. And then they also said that he bought 5. Wait, what? He bought 5 boxes of both. Okay. So 5 boxes of dog treats and 5 boxes of cat treats and paid $35 for that. Right. Okay. And so I already know how much the dog treats are. And I didn't necessarily need this third week of information. I don't know if you noticed that. But since I know how much dog treats are, I can now figure out how much cat treats are, right? So if one dog treat is $44.50, and I probably use the second equation, right? Because it's just a little bit easier to look at. So that means one dog treat is $4.50. That means 2 dog treats is going to be $9, right? And if 2 dog treats equals $9, that means this guy right here is your $9 of your $14. So how much is that for your cat treats? So 2 cat treats, you have to pay $5 more. So that implies that 1 cat treat is going to be $2.50. And of course I would, check my answer. And does it actually make sense in this context over here? I don't know. Let's look. So let's see. Where did my Desmos go? So it says, let's do 5 times cat treats. I think I said was how much? $2.50. and then plus 5 dog treats, which was $4.50. Yeah, and that's $35. So we're good, right? This is how I'm checking my answer. All right, last problem. Same kind of deal. It says Carlos has noticed that because each of his purchases have been somewhat similar, it has been easy to figure out the cost of each item. However, his last set of receipts had him puzzled. One week he tried out cheaper brands of cat and dog food. On Monday, he bought 3 bags, 3 small bags of cat food and 3 small bags of dog food for $22.75. But he went through the small bags quite quickly, and he had to return to the store on Thursday to get 2 more small bags of cat food and 3 more small bags of dog food, which cost him $14.25. Based on this information, figure out the price of each bag and the cheaper and the... So go ahead and write your information down and see if you see any patterns. If you don't instantly see patterns, that's okay. You're asking yourself these 2 questions. What do I notice that is the same? And what is the difference between those purchases? And do you see a difference in price and in what like they actually bought? So go ahead and write that down and then meet me back here. Okay, so now that you're back, I noticed on Monday he gets 3 small bags of cat food. So this is, I'm just going to go with C for cat food. And he buys 5 small bags of dog food for $22.75. Oops. And then he went back to 2 bags of cat food and 3 bags of dog food, which was $14.25. So if you notice, this one doesn't have a straight, like over here, this one was the same here, right? And then over here, we like halved. It was like half of it. And there's also a third of it if you wanted to use like this pattern. So, and then over here, we doubled, right? But over here in the problem that we're working on, there's no pattern. So I need, if you've noticed every single time, one of the things I need in order to solve these types of problems is I need like something to be the same. So here it was 2 of the cat treats were the same in both equations. Over here, I eventually got 3 of the dog leashes to be the same, right? In this one. And then over here, I eventually got, let's see, where is it? I got the 6 Milo Munchies to be the same. So I need something to be the same. And in this one that we're currently working on, there's nothing that's the same. So I need you to think, okay, how would I do this? How could I do this? And maybe you see this kind of pattern. Well, if I double this one, if I double this one, I would get 6 small bags of cat food and then 10 bags of dog food for, let's see, 44, 45, 50. Yeah, 45.50. Right? Which kind of doesn't help me because if you look, 6C, that's not, oh, but then I can triple this to give me that. Does that make sense? Because now if I triple this, right, now I get 6 small bags of cat food, which is what I want. I want 2 of them to be the same. Because if I can get them to be the same, then I can look at the difference between the purchase price and the purchase, and then I'm good. Okay, so then let me triple the whole thing. So that would be 9. Oops, sorry. This would be 9. Hold on a second. Let me undo that. Oops, I did that. Okay, so this would be 9. I did it again. Sorry, here. This would be 9 bags of small bags of dog food. And if I tripled 14.25, let's see. If I tripled 14, that would be $42. That would be $42.75. Okay, $42.75. And if you look, the only difference here is one bag of dog food, right? One bag of dog food. And how much more did you have to pay here from here to here? And the difference here, doing math in my head, I got $2.75. So one small bag of dog food is $2.75. So that helps, because now I can use these equations to figure out the rest, right? So if one bag of dog food costs $2.75, I want it to look like this one. So how much would 3 bags of dog food cost? And then I'm not going to mess with that because I'm going to multiply, I'm sure. So 275. Okay, so that would be 825. So 3 bags of dog food would be 825. So this would be 825 here. And so of my $14.25, 825 is going to dog food. Oh, that means the rest is going to go towards cat food. So how much is the rest? So if you said $6, good on you. So that means one bag of small cat food is going to be $3. So there's my answers for that. So mathematically, I will show you how to write this out. But really what I want you to do is like kind of lean on this idea of like, oh, I can double my purchase, right? At Costco, if I bought one, bag of dried mangoes and it costs like $8. If I bought 2 of them, it would now be $16, right? Okay, just want to go over our takeaways just so that you guys all have this. It says, summarize the strategy you used to reason about the price of individual items in the context of purchasing different combinations of those items. What are some key ideas that seem to be helpful? So one of the things that you should have noticed is we can do this thing like doubling or tripling your purchases. But notice when you do that, the number of cat food bags, the number of dog food bags, and even the price will also, double or triple. Like I can't buy more things, but pay the same price, right? Same thing goes here. The other thing you should have recognized is that we want to make sure that you eventually get to the place where 2 of those or those items kind of like are the same number, right? And you'll learn that this strategy is called elimination. And the way you're eliminating is you're comparing and you're saying, oh, look, these are the same. So because these are the same, I can almost like subtract the equations and you can eliminate those things, right? So if you notice here again, we doubled stuff and we noticed that these were the same right here. 6 Milo Munchies, and same thing goes here. So when you're using elimination, a lot of students love elimination better than substitution, which makes sense because it makes sense. I will caution you though that elimination is good, except for it only works on systems that you can eliminate something with. So later on, like an integrated 2 and integrated 3, you'll notice that elimination doesn't work every single time, but substitution does. So for now, for your purposes here in our class, you are able to do elimination. And I actually like elimination because it's a little bit cleaner. So with that being said, I hope you have a great day. Hope that makes a lot of sense to you. I'll see you in the next video.